Ladies and gentlemen, we are in for a treat from Garage Composites, the Director of Dealer Development. Please give it up for Jolene Krizan.
Hey! Thank you to our team that's helping us get all set up. I was up here and completely forgot to put the mic on, and I'm a pretty loud person, but maybe not that loud. Okay, so what I want to talk to you guys about today is going to be groundbreaking, something you've never heard before. Do you believe that? No. I'm going to tell you things you probably have heard, you probably do know, but do you do it? So we're going to talk about ways to get more profitability into your dealership. So this is what we want, right? We don't need to go find that new profit center. We just need to figure out how do we get more profit from the departments we already have. So the meaning, what do I mean by profit on purpose? What is that? These are the intentional actions. Intentional meaning that you actually make the choice to do these things every day. In every department. When I say sales, I don't mean major unit sales department. I'm always talking about every department in the dealership. In accountability, holding the line when discipline slips, because that's when you're losing most of the profitability, is when you stop doing those processes, you stop following the steps that you know already work. And why does this matter? Daily habits. You have a habit. We know it takes a little while to get in habit. What is it, 21 days? And then hopefully you start just doing it every day. And this is going to determine your profitability throughout the dealership, throughout the year. So the difference between average and exceptional, anyone in here a manager of a department? Owner of a dealership? So when you're an owner or a manager, do you want managers below you or staff that are average, that just follow the process enough? And usually when they follow the process enough as an average employee, they're doing the point of sale process. So yeah, if I buy something, I take it to the register, I cash it out. That is following a process. But the processes I want to talk about are the ones that are easier to skip, like the traffic log and the dealership tour. Anybody wake up today and say, I want to be average? Some people maybe, but usually we want to be exceptional. Do you want to hire an average manager? No, you want to hire a leader. So the next 45 minutes, we're going to talk a lot about these two things and the difference between discipline and consistency. Discipline, the ability to make yourself take action. Again, those are the choices that you make. And then consistency is repeating it. Oh, there we go. The ability to sustain that action. So it's the beginning of the year, right? And everybody sets these goals for themselves, New Year's resolutions, one of which usually is either working out, eating better, or both. So if you start on Sunday or the first of the year and you go out and you're like, it's dinner time, right? I really want that juicy cheeseburger, but that's probably not going to get me to the goals that I want for the year. Instead, I got to eat the salad. So on Sunday, or like I said, the first of the year, I eat the salad. That was the discipline it took to not eat that cheeseburger, to eat the salad instead. However, it's the consistency. What am I going to do tomorrow? What am I going to do the second week of the year? What am I going to do the third week of the year? So a leader will get that discipline put in place, but then you have to sustain it. And that's where the consistency comes in. Discipline gets you going. The consistency keeps you going. Anybody hungry for a cheeseburger now? Tell me you're hungry for that salad, because I thought it looked good, but that kid there doesn't look like she's loving it. So now we want to we know what the discipline is. We want to turn this discipline into money, into profitability. And where does that start? At the top, right? Leadership starts at the top. They set the standard. Process creates that consistency. So you have to have the processes in place. And then that's going to expose these opportunities. Does anybody know what this is? You hear of a Waymo? Tony mentioned earlier the Tesla cars, and now that they have self-driving cars, if you're from California, you're probably more familiar with this. But what a Waymo is a Tesla, basically, that you get in, it's a taxi, and there's nobody in the driver's seat. I'm a control freak, right? Like, would you get in one of these? Perk wouldn't. I wouldn't. I think they're cool. I think that's probably the future. However, I'm a control freak, so I need to be driving the car, steering the ship, whatever it is. And that's where your leadership comes in. Would you leave your dealership without any driver? No, we need them to follow this process. Leadership sets the rhythm. So the leadership habits. Teams do what leaders tolerate. And more importantly, teams don't do what leaders tolerate. So if you have a process, whatever it is, let's say it's the dealer tour, and you say, we're gonna do this 100% of the time. When somebody buys a unit from us, we're gonna put them on a dealer tour, we're gonna take them around every department, we're gonna give them this amazing experience so that they know when they come back where to go, who to buy from, who their people are. But then we get busy on a weekend and we wanna skip that process. Or the salespeople that knows everything says, oh, the customer's timing out, they've been here too long, so we're gonna skip the tour. If you don't say anything about it as a leader and you let that go, it's like you're saying, yeah, that's okay. Watching it happen and not addressing it is endorsing that behavior. So as a leader, if you have good leaders in your dealership, or you can train people up to be good leaders, they're gonna make sure that, yeah, we're timing out, but we're still gonna follow that process because we want these customers to get the same experience every time. Success doesn't eliminate that need for process. It's usually the success comes because of the process. And skipping steps when things are going well. This is the biggest time when everyone starts skipping. Again, a weekend or a busy day, and we're doing so great, we're like, we no longer, this is what we say in our 20 club meetings, that was working so well, we quit doing it. So most dealerships, they don't have a profit problem. We have a discipline problem. And I can say this because it's the beginning of the year, that we need to start looking at all of these departments and seeing what can we do differently? Where can we put this discipline in where we make sure we're following these processes all the time? But let's be honest, if you go back tomorrow or Monday and you say, hey, we're gonna do this all the time, is anybody in here confident that their leadership is gonna do it 100% of the time? Probably not. It would be nice. So let's talk about some of the ebbs and flows of these processes. So the old proverbial sales funnel, right? And again, when I say sales funnel, I'm not talking about just major unit sales. This is applicable to every department in the dealership. So we don't have customers, we start cultivating our leads, we're calling everybody, we're following up, and we fill our funnel. And this is great. But now we start selling to those people, those hot prospects that we've been cultivating, and we're draining our funnel. And shortly now, it's halfway gone. So we sit back, because we're making money, we're making profitability, so we sit back and relax. And when we relax is when the downturn comes. Because now what happens? Our funnel is empty. All we've been doing is selling to those people that we started with, but we haven't been cultivating the leads and following the initial process, so we're not refilling our funnel back up. And again, happens in every department. So what are the leaders doing different? And I keep saying leaders compared to managers, because again, managers manage processes, leaderships grow your teams, they grow the process. So consistency, we're gonna keep that funnel full. Even when we're busy and we're selling units, we're gonna make sure that we're going out and we're following up on every lead that came in that day. We're talking to everybody, we're following up on everybody in our CRM. We have tasks in our CRM, hopefully, and if you have 20 of them today and you've sold a couple units, Great, maybe you have to stay a little longer that night to make sure you're following up. Because what we don't want to do is what we just talked about, empty the funnel. So today I sold a couple units. I go ahead and follow up with people that's going to bring people in later this week or next week. I'm still selling from my funnel last week, and that's when the consistency flows, and you need somebody steering that ship to make sure it's happening. Salespeople, more entry-level people, don't by nature do that unless they're pushed. Structure. We need to protect the process. So again, when I talked about earlier, skipping the steps, the leader makes sure that we're doing all those things. The dealer tour I talked about, the leader's gonna make sure, yeah, I know you're busy, but we wanna make sure we get through that process. Or desking a deal. This is a great first pencil. You go out and we get busy, so we're gonna skip the process a little bit because I've got a customer and he's already told me he doesn't wanna pay full price, right? Who does? And he's already told me that he wants more for his trade than what he found book value when he looked it up. So when I go out and present that deal, am I gonna go out and present the discounted price that they want and a higher price on their trade? It's not a rhetorical question, correct? No, we're not gonna do that. What are we gonna do? We're gonna go out there with the customer and we're gonna follow our process. We're going to desk first pencil that deal the same way we always would. We're gonna put full price on it. Now that doesn't mean when I'm presenting that I don't say, hey, I know you were hoping for some price consideration so off of this, so we're gonna talk about that because we wanna make the right deal for you. But here's our price, our base price. And then I know you also talked about wanting to get the best price on your trade-in. Here's what the value of market value of your unit is right now. So let's say I'm starting with a $10,000 profit, because we would love that, right? If I go out at full price and full regular trade value, I'm starting with a $10,000 profit. If I went out with the discounted price that they wanted and more money on their trade, where am I starting? 5 grand, maybe? Do you think that that's gonna be it? Are they done negotiating? No, because they're looking at a 5 grand price and they're like, you did that so easily. Let's start from your negotiated price. So let's follow the process. We start at 10, now we can come down and say, okay, I can give a little here, I can give a little there. We're following our process every time, regardless of what our staff says, regardless of what our salespeople say. Oh, and then the hero salesperson. Again, any department, has anyone ever had that salesperson that just sells a lot of units? Probably charisma. Most of the time, they don't follow the process very well. They think they're above the process. And often we feel like we don't want to harm them because if we tell them they have to follow the process, what if they quit and they sell 100 units a month? We're gonna lose those 100 units. Have any of you had that person that's just like, don't really want to like adjust anything with them because I don't want to lose them? Has anyone lost that person? And what happens? Morale usually comes up. Someone else sells the units, make them follow the process. We don't want to build our systems around personalities. We want to build our systems around processes. Our goal is consistently fill that funnel, consistently execute what we say we're going to do, and always have that continual flow. So now we want to take these disciplines into finding where our opportunities are. Where is the profit getting missed? And again, in every department, not just in the sales department. Hopefully everybody in your dealership is a salesperson, whether they're a hydro tech or a parts person or an inventory person. They should all think that they are salespeople because they are all controlling our profitability. So how do we identify these opportunities? We're going to look at all of those, and then ultimately, I want you to walk away from this with some tools and ideas to say, yes, I can go back to my dealership. I can implement this and make a change. So what department do you think of first? Sales. Money's in the metal or the fiberglass or whatever it is that you sell. So the sales department, we want to look at deals that aren't getting written up, starting from the greet to the log, Are we getting to the delivery? And then we want to look at service. What does service sell? Hours. There's all kinds of hours that don't get billed. The hours that they don't do, the hours that they do, but then we don't bill. We might put them in a drawer somewhere. They'll drop the work order. We let them take the unit home and forget to bill it out, or they argue about the price and we're like, oh, just let them go. Again, we're busy. Parts department, typically in parts, we're talking about someone will come in to buy a part. They're going to get what they want. But are we suggesting other things? Are we talking about how freaking cool this industry is and how cool their bike, motorcycle, whatever it is, could be? With all these parts that we know as professionals, we want to give that information to the customers. We don't want to just hold it back and go back in the back room and talk to our friends about, did you see this cool new part? No, go give that to your customers and say, hey, let me show you this. Put it on a unit. Walk over there and show them, let me show you how this works. When people suggest things to me, and I might not be a good example because I'm a spender, but if someone shows me something that I think is super cool, there's a good chance I'm going to try and find a way to buy it. And then F&I. I know that's part of the sales department, but there's such huge opportunity there that we want to look at different areas in F&I that we're leaving money on the table. So first, let's look at the opportunities. Major units. Every deal starts with the greet, right? If we don't get the greet, we do not have them in our funnel at all. We don't get the log. We need to get, who are they? We need to make that connection. Unengaged customers. So again, if we don't get them in step one, we're definitely not going to get a write-up because we don't even know who they are. We don't know what they're interested in. Ultimately, what does that lose us? Deals. And there's nothing to measure to train. So one of the important parts, yes, we want to make profitability by selling units. But when we get a person greeted, then we can get them in our process. So now, as a sales leader or sales manager, I can look at where is Jordan breaking down in the process. I can help him because he's really good at the excitement of the unit. But then when it comes to presenting the numbers, he gets a little scared. So I can help him with that because I can see exactly what step of the process he's failing at. Does anybody in here do training on greets every week? Ever? One person, daily, weekly? Once in a while? So when somebody comes in and says, hey, what brings you in today? Oh, I'm picking up a part. It's around the corner. No, we're like, oh, sweet, let me walk you over there. What are you getting a part for? Sweet, what are you riding? And you talk to them and you're building that excitement. And now it's not just like I'm trying to sell them something, but ultimately what am I trying to do? I'm trying to sell them something. I'm trying to build that relationship with them. People like to talk about themselves. They like to talk about their bike. So if they're buying a part for it, maybe it's because it's broke down. And then you can kind of get some information to, oh, it's broke down. Look at all this inventory on my showroom that you could ride home today and not have to worry about that. So how do we fix it? We get everyone on the traffic log. Do we all have a traffic log? Do we get 100% of our customers on the traffic log? 50%? I can look at the national averages and tell you, probably not. And it's sad because we have the people coming in. If you look at door swings, we still have people coming in. We're just not getting them on the log. And I love when the new people come in and they sell somebody like the UPS guy because they just talk to them. And then your salesperson that's been there forever is like, I talk to that guy every day. You don't talk to him about a motorcycle. You say hi to him, talk to him about the weather, but I want to greet everybody that walks in the dealership every day, and I want to be intentional about talking to them about our cool products. And I talked about this. We can't manage the process if we don't know who's in the process. So once we get them on the log and we track them, we get them in our CRM with a name, with a phone number, an email, whatever it is, one piece of contact information at least. And we know the more time that we spend with them in the greet, the easier it is to do the end process. So let's get the first process in here so we can start having people to follow up with if they don't buy the same day. Consistency. I said we're going to talk about that a lot. Discipline and consistency. So this is where the consistency comes in. Can anybody in here say their salesperson or sales manager is great at managing the traffic log? That should be your number one thing in the dealership, is managing the traffic log. If I were a general manager, a sales manager, an owner, operator, I'm going to be inspecting this regularly and making sure we're tracking it, because this is where our opportunities are getting lost. More write-ups, more deliveries. Let's look at the parts department. Add-ons and upselling. Again, somebody comes into the parts department, they want to buy a part. Not only do we sell them what they're looking for, maybe we show them other opportunities. Maybe they want a stock part and we show them how cool this other new thing is that's an aftermarket part, but maybe it's more expensive, it's cooler. Are we taking the time to do that, or are we clerks just sitting around waiting on somebody? Dealer tour, talked about that. Are we doing this consistently? Are we taking every customer who buys something from us and not putting them on the tour, not forcing them? You need to make sure that the mindset is that this is a great thing. I want you to go on a tour so that when you own this new unit, you know who to talk to. You know my parts person that's going to be helping you, because if I have a certain model that maybe I have a parts person that's really passionate about that, I'm probably going to try and introduce you to them. Because if they have one or they're passionate about it, they're going to hype it up and they're going to be like, oh, that's awesome, man. I have one of those too. And they're going to try and sell that. And then when you come back, you're going to that guy, right? Service department. You ever pull up to a new dealership and you see the service department and you're like, do I just pull the unit in? Do I leave my trailer back here? It's kind of awkward, especially new riders. They don't know what to do. So if you walk them over to service and service explains that to them, like, hey, whenever you come in, I'm your guy, make the appointment. We can pick it up for you. Or just pull right up, beep your horn, we're gonna open the door, let you roll right in. You take that awkwardness out of it and invite them into your home. Inventory. Now, inventory sitting in the back, you may think, is there real profitability there, potential? Yes, because if we have a bunch, I'm going to talk louder because they're trying to drown me out. This is Schoolie's favorite thing, is when I talk really loud. That's my work brother over there. But inventory sitting in the back, if we don't sell it and manage our inventory, when we do bring it out a year from now, 2 years from now, whenever we decide to, are we selling it for full price? Doubtful. So we're probably going to start marking it down. And that's losing profitability in the dealership, because we're marking things down and we're just writing this off. And then not engaging on the floor. So I did a training this past fall in our 20 clubs on this thing called showrooming. Have you guys heard of that? This is kind of a little bit to what Tony was saying, if you listen to Tony talking about people doing everything virtually. So showrooming is when someone takes their phone into any retail place and they take a picture of the product that they're interested in and they find it on Amazon or on Google, whatever. It's pretty common now that people will do that. I've done it myself. I've walked into retail places, and the times I do it more is when nobody's engaging me, because now I can't ask questions. Thank you. I can't ask questions about the product, so what am I going to do? I'm going to Google it, because, again, as Tony said earlier, the information age, it's all right here in the palm of my hand. So if I Google it and now I see you're selling it for $400 and I can buy it on here for $350 and I can have it delivered to my house tomorrow, why would I bother chasing you down in your dealership to ask you these questions? However, the adverse to that, if you're engaging me and talking to me, how rude would it be for me to be like, hang on, let me find my phone so I can price match you somewhere? So how do we fix this? If you know anything about Garage Composites or listened to any of our trainings before, we talk about Training, 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 training all the time. So that's what we want to do. We want to train our parts counter staff just as much as we train our sales staff. More if you're not currently training your sales staff. And we want to follow the process. 100%. If we say 100% of people do the dealer tour, then 100% of the people do a dealer tour. We often hear, oh, they already bought a unit from us before. Okay, so they have a new one. Do you think they know everything about it? Do they think they know all the product available to it? No, we do. We think that they're just as much experts as we are, and sometimes they think they are too because they've Googled the information, but they're not. We have the excitement. We need to be the ones going out and making sure that they know everything available to that new unit. And then manage your inventory. And when I say manage your inventory, I don't mean just make sure that we know where it is or what it is and that we have it. Is it out? We have these things sitting in the back room, and we do 20 clubs and we talk about obsolete inventory all the time. And some people are really good at it, and some people are like, well, we got too much, so I just write it off at the end of the year. That's not managing it, writing it off. That's throwing money out the window. We want to make sure that we're pulling our top dollar items every month. Is it in the showroom or is it in the back room? Is it in a brown box like the previous slide showed? That's not appealing. I don't know if it fits what I have or not. So we need to be managing our inventory. We need to be doing cycle counts. I had a dealership not long ago. I'm like, when was the last time you did inventory? Because he's like, I feel like we should probably do it. I'm like, well, how long's it been? He says, 5 years. I was like, you haven't done a physical inventory in 5 years. You do cycle counts all the time? He's like, cycle counts? I'm like, you count your inventory regularly? We have some dealers that do so good at their cycle counts. Every month, we've got certain bins or areas that we count that at the end of the year, we've counted everything twice. Then we don't have to do a full physical. Some people shut down and do it once a year, but we want to manage that. And your leader in that department should be responsible for that. And they should have some skin in the game, right? So if we're not selling the inventory and we're writing it off, that should be coming out of their commission, out of their paycheck. And then get up. Get off your tush and get out there and talk to people. Again, especially in the parts department. It's so easy to walk into a parts department and you go sit behind your little kiosk and you're waiting in front of your POS system for somebody to walk up and buy something and give you their credit card. Take the stool away if you need to. Don't let them have their phones during a certain amount of time. Maybe you have one person who is at the register and you have another one that's out as a roamer and they just have to stay out there. And I promise you, once they get out there, they're gonna be bored. So you know what they're gonna do? They're gonna talk to people. They're gonna start talking to people, and then your sales are gonna go up. Service. Again, hours, not billed. So these are all kinds of hours. This could be that we have somebody that's just lazy and doesn't bill the hours, so they're not doing the work. Or this could be hours that we did bill. Maybe it's a warranty that we did the work, but we never got it approved through warranty. So now what do we do with it? We either have to write it off. Nobody wants to do that. So again, we just throw it to the side and worry about that later. Does anybody ever look at their lost labor? In our composite, in our 20 clubs, we talk about lost labor a lot. And that's basically how many hours did we have available? How many do we bill out? And that difference times your labor rate, it's astonishing how much every year, hundreds of thousands of dollars per dealership is being wasted. Scheduling. So important that we know who's scheduling the time. Are we putting it with the right tech? Are we prepping, do we have the unit staged and ready to go? Did anyone check to make sure we even ordered the correct parts on it before we give it to the technician to work on, and then they get it and they're like flustered. Techs don't get flustered, right? They're like the coolest people in the world. I love techs, don't get me wrong. Phone calls. I say not converted, but also just not answered. You get a lot of calls in service, right? And it's hard when you're engaging with somebody because I want to talk to the person in front of me first. But what if we had somebody else in the dealership that could answer those calls? Maybe I have a parts to service person that's sitting in a back counter with no customer-facing person, and I could have them people answer the calls. You know what? One thing they're probably not doing, trying to diagnose this over the phone to tell you how you can go fix it yourself. And then missed upsells in the service lane. Once they have their unit in, how much easier is it to sell them other things? So the things that they came in for, sure, that's an easy. But now we're, again, the excitement. We're talking about all the things we have available for it, and you're already here. So how do we fix it? Fixing should be easy in service. It's what they do. They fix things. So I would challenge your service department to be the first one to fix this stuff. Tighten the process. Consistency. Are we billing every hour? Are we looking at it every day? Are we auditing our repair orders? Any service managers in here? Owners? I know we got some owners. Do you know your oldest work order? Do you? Or oldest 5? You know why it's still there? How old is it? You're embarrassed to say. And that happens a lot. I know it's back there, but I have so many things that I'm juggling that I kind of also lose sight of it. But you know who shouldn't? Your service manager. They should be managing that, auditing that, and every time. And I want to stop and say something. It's easy to get up here on my high horse, right, and say how easy it is to fix things and that life should just be perfect. I skipped the part of telling you, if you don't know who I am, I didn't work for Garage Composites my whole life. I spent 25 years in a dealership. So I also don't want to say those 25 years that I did everything perfectly. I screwed up a lot, and I was in a 20 club myself, and we would talk about these things, and I would get better because that's what we do. We want to get better. So I say that just to say I have walked the walk. I'm not standing up here saying this is easy, and I'm not asking you to go back and change everything in your dealership, but we'll get to the point that incremental changes make big profitability moves. Scheduling, again, who's in charge of scheduling? Do they know who to put on the right unit? And profitability, again, am I gonna put my A tech on all the simple maintenance jobs? It seems like it would make sense, right? Because they knock them out really quick. But I'm gonna put my B and C techs on things and then put my A techs on the electronics that, yeah, I gotta mix it up a little bit, but the electrical work that's gonna take a C tech 3 days to do, I want them to learn that, but I need to schedule this accordingly. For 2 reasons. I need to schedule to make sure I'm being profitable. I also need to schedule time to make sure that you're learning and growing, because I don't always want you to be a B or a C tech. But somebody needs to be intentional about scheduling that, not just saying, oh, Mandy's available, throw her on that. She's gonna get it done real quick. And then, like I said, help with the phone calls. Ask for the sale, ask for the appointment. When someone calls in, make sure if we take a message that we actually call them back every day. Follow that process. Ask for the appointment, get them on the schedule. Sorry it took me an hour or so to follow up with you. We've been really busy. You know what else it says? We're really busy, because customers like to come to us because we take care of them. If I picked up every phone call and wasn't busy ever, I might question if you're a good service department. And then use a menu. I said, it's an easier time to sell these people something when their unit's sitting right in front of them. So we know why they're here. We're gonna sell that, right? That's what they came in for. But what about some recommendations? What are we recommending? Hey, while you're in here, you're at 3/32 on your tires, you might wanna just go ahead and get those changed. What's convenient? We're already taking this off. While we're doing that, you're gonna have less labor if we upgrade this too at the same time. And then what do they want? What's that passion item that they've talked about? If you've got a relationship with them, hopefully you know that. You can talk to them and be like, well, if you could do anything to this, what would you do to it? Finance. I will watch my time, make sure I don't go over. Finance, similar to sales, relationship selling, right? So you guys know what F&I 1 and F&I 2 is. We have some people that just throw them in the box. This is the person that's gonna do your paperwork. No, we don't wanna do that. We wanna come out, the finance person come out of the office. Hopefully they don't even go in an office until they have a deal, but that's unrealistic because most finance people like to hibernate in their office. We want to make sure they build that relationship, so I'm coming out the first time and I'm meeting you so that when you do come in to get your presentation, your menu, I've already met you. And then the product, are we presenting every product every time? If we know it's a cash deal, do we have 2 different menus? One for cash and one for finance, because even if you're paying cash, we still want to sell you something. And if I don't meet you until afterwards, it eliminates the possibility of selling. Cash conversions. Someone says, oh, he's bringing a check. Are we giving the finance person that opportunity to explain to them, does that make the most sense to spend your own money? Is that a good financial decision on your behalf? Or can I make it a better decision for you to finance? Maybe you finance a little bit, maybe you put a big down payment down and get a nice low rate, but let your finance person have that opportunity. And then there's a ton of follow-up in finance. Is anyone doing finance follow-up? It's rare that someone is consistent at this. So we have a lot of products we could sell. They don't always have the money that same day, but could we follow up with it? So again, how do we fix these things? If you don't all currently do F&I 1 and F&I 2, I would highly suggest you do that. F&I 1, again, we're coming out, we're meeting them, we're talking to them. They're buying a motorcycle. How many miles do you ride per year? Oh, you ride a lot. Priority maintenance is probably going to be one of my #1 things that I make sure I talk about. You don't really have any money to put down. That's unfortunate. You had some things come up. So now you have high note. Maybe I need to make sure we have gap protection on there. All these things I'm learning, I'm not saying to you, but when I structure my menu, I'm still putting it all on there, but I'm gonna prioritize based on the conversation that I had because I got to know you and your riding style. And then the 300% rule. 100% of the products, 100% of the customers, 100% of the time. Even if they bought before, even if they said they're paying cash, even if they said, I don't want any of that monkey business that you sell in that office. Great, I'll go through this briefly. I still have to offer everything to you to show you what you're entitled to. You can decline what you want, but I'm going to go through the process. And then training. Do we train our finance people? Do we talk about a product presentation? Do I have my finance person doing a product presentation with my sales team or with my service team to show them how they present that priority maintenance and the importance of it? They need to be training just as much as your sales department. Are we training on overcoming those cash conversions? It's one of the toughest things to do. I spent a lot of time in finance. I love finance. Again, if you can get them moved from a cash deal to a finance deal, even a little bit, it increases your opportunity 300% to sell a product. And then follow up, expired warranties, unsold items, people that were previously declined. Maybe I got a new unit in that might fit their budget, or maybe they might have come up with a down payment over the last 30 days that we haven't talked to them. Call them and do save-a-deals with the sales manager and the finance manager to look and see why did we not get that deal done. Or maybe it's the end of the month and we're a couple deals away from our goal. Might take a little bit better of a deal then, right? Maybe I can figure this deal out a little bit more. So the money I get, I told you in the beginning, it's not earth-shattering, like groundbreaking, new thing that I'm gonna tell you. It's all stuff that you know. It's, do you have the discipline? Are you gonna monitor it and make sure that you have the consistency to do it? The profitability is already in your dealership. I just want you to go after it. But I want you to see how much potential there is to go get. So we said the difference between average and exceptional could be making sure these processes are followed. So I want to take a look at this, and I want to start by saying this is not some pie in the sky, unrealistic numbers. I ran some national averages off of our customers for 2025, forget what year it is, at a 500 unit a year dealership, open 5 days a week. So this isn't like, yeah, you picked like the best possible dealership. National averages. Nobody wants to be average. If you had one more deal per day in unit sales, it's $390,000 based on national averages. 8 unbilled hours per day. If you had 8 techs, I guarantee you're losing more than 8 hours per day. Probably 3 techs, you're losing 8 hours a day. Maybe not losing, but not finding because we don't have the parts pulled out. We didn't look at we didn't stage the unit. Maybe the unit's not even here yet. We had it on the appointment, but they never showed up, and now the tech's waiting on it. $500 per unit in finance that we didn't offer. That was $250,000. One maintenance job that we didn't get was 90 grand. Warranty PUS, when I look at the average warranty per unit sold, there's such huge opportunity there. Again, the unit's there. The great thing about warranty is when I call them and tell them, hey, I'd like to keep this motorcycle a little bit longer because I found something that's going to be an issue in the future, they're probably going to be excited rather than going home and then 6 months later, they're like, shoot, now I have a problem. You guys didn't tell me about it, and guess what? My warranty expired a month ago. Those are the easy ones to find, and I'm never going to ask you to go manipulate that and find fake warranty work, but it's out there. We have clients doing it, and I see it all the time. $152,000 in warranty per year. Again, very modest number. Let's say $100 per unit on parts that we don't offer, 50 grand. A pretty staggering number based on a 500 unit store open 5 days a week, $1.1 million of profit. If we follow processes, if we hold our leaders to this, consistently do these things every day. So we should all have a playbook, right? I talked about this a little bit. Inspect what you expect. Service, go back and check those oldest work orders. Find out why it's there and push somebody, get the right part ordered, pull the thing out. I know it's going to take a while. We don't know what the problem is. Let's get it handled because it just weighs us down. What you measure and monitor, we can coach to. So that traffic log, make sure we're getting everybody on the traffic log, everybody in our CRM, so we can coach them up to sell more units. Ultimately, they all make more money. Make accountability important. Don't let it slip away. Don't let someone say, well, we were really busy, so I didn't do that today. Because then you know what we're going to do tomorrow? We're not going to do the same thing. We need to do it every day. And as a leader, you need to hold them accountable to that. And let's turn that into profit. Easier said than done, I know, but go back and audit your dealership. I'm not asking you to do everything. Like I said, there's a lot of opportunity we just looked at. But go back and audit your dealership this week. Let's look at one of these things in each department. Can you guys commit to one thing in each department that you would look at? That doesn't seem too crazy. If you have a manager in each department, they each get one task. Create a measurable target. What do we want to do? Is it logging 100% of the people? Is it increasing our line items per ticket? The things that we focus and we measure, we will increase. And review this for 90 days. We need to get the consistency. There are some dealers, some of our profitable, well-run dealers, that if you don't follow the process, you don't get to stay. It's that simple. You don't follow the process, you're gone. And it's hard to say because I know staffing is such a hard thing to do. But the more you allow these things to slip, the more they're going to just slip because they're not important to you. They're not going to be important to me as an associate. Anybody ever read Extreme Ownership? Awesome book, right? Jocko, the guy, is a great read. He's got a couple of books out there. If you haven't read Extreme Ownership, I would suggest that's a great book for your leadership team to read and talk about. The profit's already there. You just need to go get it. Perfect timing, right? info@garagecomposites.com. If you'd like a copy of this presentation, we would be happy to send it to you. Just info@garagecomposites.com. It has been a pleasure talking to you. Thank you for coming.